Casias Media.
What Melissa Left, a limited series by Weird True Crime.
Over the last 2 episodes, we've introduced you to Melissa Casias, an empathetic, caring, devoted mother and daughter, and we've walked through the day she disappeared and the days that followed. We've covered the organized searches, Mark's recorded phone calls, and some serious questions about the surveillance footage on Highway 518 and the timeline of that afternoon.
Today, we're getting into the bigger picture. The investigation failures, the deeper look at what was happening inside that marriage, and the theories about what could have happened to Melissa. And as always, everything we share comes directly from official New Mexico State Police reports, documented evidence, or firsthand statements from Melissa's family and the people closest to her. I'm Gina.
And I'm Amber, and this is part 3, Missing Pieces.
Now that we've broken down our suspicions around the surveillance footage, the backpack, and the timeline, let's get back into the investigation. On July 3rd, Agent Villanueva interviewed a family friend who has known Mark and Melissa for years. This person described Mark as a narcissist and, in the police report's words, quote, mentally abusive to his women, end quote. They said Mark blames Melissa for things outside of her control and belittles her, and he gave specific examples.
According to the police report, this person shared that Mark and his daughter, Krista, Melissa's stepdaughter, sat down with Melissa, got into her bank accounts, and accused her of not managing her finances correctly. Mark then removed Melissa from their shared accounts without her consent. They also stated that Melissa was responsible for paying all of the bills with her income alone.
Let's take a minute to talk more about Mark and Melissa's financial situation, since one of Mark's claims is that she had a breakdown and left because of finances. Remember, Mark told Trudy and Jazmin that Melissa single-handedly ruined their finances and he had no visibility into their purchases, debt, or payments.
However, according to police records, a friend of Melissa's said that Melissa mentioned issues with their taxes and that she was the only one making payments toward their balances. Melissa told this friend that she and Mark managed their bills separately and that their tax issues were due to tax filings made in 2013, but Melissa didn't know the extent of why there was an issue.
Melissa was cut off from joint accounts, but still expected to pay debts she didn't create. She was being blamed for a financial situation that wasn't her fault and that she was largely kept in the dark about. It's important to point out that this speaks to a deeper imbalance of power. Mark controlled the money, excluded Melissa from accounts without her consent, and then blamed her for the financial state of their household. That is the definition of financial abuse.
Not to mention, court records listed on the New Mexico Court Case Lookup website establish a pattern of trouble with money and shady business practices that predate Melissa. The date range for these records is from 1994 to 2025 and include several incidents of failure to pay, contract breaches, evictions, and one criminal case with 15 counts for unregistered hunting guide or outfitter. Mark pleaded not guilty and all charges were dismissed in 2023.
In July, Mark posted multiple messages to Facebook directed at Melissa. The family described them as cryptic and strange. One post from July 26th reads in part, quote, "The little man stuff should be ending quick," end quote. And, quote, "24 will also be taking care of you. You know what I mean," end quote. The family believes the number 24 may refer to a hunting unit in southern New Mexico. They contacted forest rangers in the area. The lead detective brought Mark in and asked about the posts. Mark said he was using coded language only Melissa would understand. For some reason, the detective took him at his word.
Okay, if she really did willingly disappear, why would she log into Facebook when it can be tracked? And how would she see these messages anyway if she didn't have a phone or computer?
Those are great questions. Before we go further, we want to address something directly. There has been discussion connecting Melissa's case to news about other government employees or researchers who have gone missing or died. We want to be clear. Melissa's disappearance has no confirmed connection to those stories. She is a woman from Taos, New Mexico, who has been missing since June 26, 2025, and her case deserves to be taken seriously entirely on its own terms. Melissa is Melissa. Her story is her story.
Jazmin has been deeply frustrated with how the investigation has been handled from the beginning. She gave the officers on scene Lloyd Duran's name, phone number, and the substance of his tip on the night of June 26th. The next day, when she spoke with Agent Mata, he was unaware of the tip from Lloyd Duran and other crucial items discussed. There had been no communication between the responding officers and the lead investigator. Given that the first 48 hours of a missing persons case are critical, this is a significant failure.
Jazmin provided Agent Mata with recordings of phone calls with Mark, calls in which Mark discusses his alibi unprompted, mentions bird activity near Pot Creek, said he has information he won't share with police, and 2 months later, when she followed up, Agent Mata told her he hadn't had a chance to listen to them.
The FBI has published guidance specifically designed to help local law enforcement handle cases like this. One article by Special Agent Michael Yoder addresses no body homicide investigations and makes a critical point. These cases need to be worked as two simultaneous investigations, one assuming the person left voluntarily, and one treating it as potential foul play. Jazmin and the family believe the New Mexico State Police has been relying too heavily on what Mark says and not treating this as a potential homicide investigation from the start.
In August 2025, Melissa's close friend confronted Mark at a local establishment during an event called the Poker Run. This is a biker event to raise money for a cause. She asked him directly why he had told state police that she and her cousin were hiding Melissa, and why he had told the state police that her cousin was having an affair with Melissa. Mark dodged the questions.
But he did share something significant. A supply of Melissa's thyroid medication had been delivered to the house that day, August 23rd, 2025. That means Melissa never changed her mailing address. If she had taken medication with her when she left, it means she didn't have a full prescription. And without consistent thyroid medication, the physical consequences are serious.
Missing posters have been removed from local businesses. Jody went to a Mustang gas station where a poster had been up, and an employee said a man came in and ripped it off. At an OK Casino gas station, same story. Someone is specifically removing Melissa's posters. No one knows who.
Mark listed a significant number of assets for sale in the weeks before Melissa's disappearance. Melissa's white Jeep, a 4Runner, a pop-up camper, a gold Tacoma with a camper, a horse trailer, a gray extended cab Tundra with a camper, and several horses. When investigators asked about it, Mark said he sold everything to help cover Sierra's graduation party. Melissa's family said Melissa was going to pay for the party herself. Mark wasn't contributing financially. The amount he would have gotten for all of those vehicles and animals? Potentially tens of thousands of dollars. Where did it go? When Melissa's family showed up after Melissa disappeared, they noticed he had a new Toyota Tundra they'd never seen before.
Within 2 weeks of Melissa's disappearance, family friends noticed Mark making multiple trips to the Taos dump. This was notable because Mark is not known for tidiness or regular disposal habits. Agent Mata did call Mark to ask about it, and he said it was kitchen stuff and old clothes. Mark was never questioned in person about this, and no one from the New Mexico State Police went to the dump to investigate. However, a source from the Taos dump recently told the family that they knew Mark was there and wouldn't allow him to dump at the landfill. They made him put the items in bins. Employees at the dump then looked through what he dropped off, and there were cameras. They confirmed it was clothing and household items.
Jazmin and Trudy also shared something that stopped us cold. When Mark and Melissa lost a previous home, Mark told Melissa's parents he wasn't going to move all of her crap, meaning her book collection, clothes, items she valued, and possibly even mementos of Sierra from when she was a baby. So he got an excavator, dug a large hole on the property, and buried her things. He buried them in the ground because he didn't want to deal with him. That is not just a moving day shortcut. That is an example of coercive control. Mark's way of showing he has power over Melissa and everything she loves. By burying her things, he was sending a message about ownership and control over who Melissa is, not just what she owns.
Trudy's mother told her this story after Melissa went missing and said Melissa looked so mad and upset, but didn't say a word. Multiple people in the community have told Trudy and Jazmin that Mark told them he knows exactly where Melissa is, but won't go to the police. At a local restaurant in March of 2026, he was heard saying Melissa was in Washington and was fine. Others say she's in Colorado, Alaska, and even Hawaii. Trudy joked that Melissa must be a really strong swimmer if she swam all the way to Hawaii because that's the only way she would have gotten there, considering there's been no trace of her anywhere.
At the DMV, a bystander overheard him saying loudly that he'd tracked her to another state and that Melissa up and left her daughter and didn't care. Jody, Melissa's brother, went to pay for his auto insurance in March 2026, and the insurance agent told him he heard Melissa had been found. When Jody asked where he heard this, he said it was Mark at a local restaurant loudly saying that she was in Washington. We've said it multiple times, but why? If he knows where Melissa is and can spare her family this heartache, why does he refuse to go to the police with this information? If he has nothing to do with her disappearance, what does he have to lose?
On April 16th, 2026, a couple hiking under Maestas Ridge noticed their dog start acting strangely, so they decided to follow them and see where they wanted to go. The dogs led them to a pair of women's gray, white, and maroon Solomon hiking shoes found close to where the Rio Grande River forks. When asked about the shoes, Mark said there was no way they were Melissa's because they were the wrong size. The shoes were a size 7. Melissa wears a size 7.5. But it's not uncommon to wear a half size off depending on the brand and the fit. We are not saying that these are her shoes.
They haven't been tested, but they should be.
FBI Special Agent Michael Yoder wrote in his analysis of no-body homicide cases that emotionally significant items left behind, a cell phone, a keepsake, special photographs, favorite clothes, house keys, a purse or wallet, often indicate an unplanned departure. He also notes that abandoning financial assets, credit and debit cards, or personal records to start a new life makes no sense if someone left deliberately.
As we've said, Melissa left all of those things. Her purse, her wallet, her cards, her phones, her keys, her car, and thousands of dollars in a safe that Mark confirmed was untouched. There have been no passport applications under her name, no border crossing activity, no large financial withdrawals or movement of funds. Her search records, going back years, contain nothing that would suggest she was planning any of this.
According to data from the FBI, roughly 97% of people who go missing can be found. The only way Melissa could have pulled off a voluntary disappearance would be with diligent, long-term planning, a clear destination, outside help, and the ability to completely sever every meaningful relationship in her life, including with Sierra.
Trudy told us, quote, "When you grow up with someone, you know the core of that person. I know the love I have for my children, and I know I would never leave them. I know my sister. I know Melissa. She did not walk away." End quote.
Trudy also said, quote, "If Melissa and Sierra had left together, I would be more inclined to believe it. End quote.
We want to walk through the possible scenarios here fairly. We're not investigators. We are not law enforcement. We're not going to tell you what happened to Melissa, but we are going to lay out what the evidence supports and what it doesn't, and let you draw your own conclusions.
Scenario 1. Melissa left voluntarily. This is Mark's position, and it's the one that Sierra has also expressed. The argument is that Melissa was overwhelmed by financial pressure, by her situation at work, maybe by the marriage, and that she made a choice to disappear, possibly with someone's help.
Let's give that theory its best possible argument. She had lost her security clearance. She was dealing with debt she felt responsible for. She was in a difficult marriage and she was planning to leave. She had applied for a new job. She was actively looking for an apartment. These are real pressures. A person under that kind of sustained stress can make unpredictable choices.
But here's what that theory cannot account for, and things we've mentioned multiple times. She left every form of money and identification she owned. She never arranged a change of address for her medication, which was delivered to the house after she was gone. Her search history shows no planning whatsoever. She had committed to being at her mother's side for knee surgery 4 days later and multiple other trips planned.
Not to mention that anyone who decides to disappear has to come to terms with cutting off all connections with family and friends. Melissa was extremely close to Sierra. Her life revolved around making sure Sierra had what she needed at all times. She felt guilty for not being able to see her parents and help more often. These are not things a person who is planning to disappear says or does.
Scenario 2, a third party was involved with or without Mark's knowledge. If Lloyd Duran did see Melissa on Highway 518, he also saw a dark blue Dodge Ram long bed with tinted windows stop on 518, then accelerate away, right at the moment Melissa disappeared from his sight. That truck has come up in connection with at least 3 persons of interest. We will share more when we can.
Scenario 3 is that Mark Casias, alone or with help, is responsible for Melissa's disappearance. We are not saying that, but we are saying this. Mark has given contradictory accounts to police and to family. He has volunteered information about his alibi without being asked. He shut down the only credible tip that came in the first night. He cleaned the house. He changed the locks. He sold assets. He talked about life insurance before anyone asked. He has told people in public that he knows exactly where Melissa is and won't tell police. His location on June 26, 2025 cannot be independently verified. And in January 2026, someone who knows him says he told them he could bury a body in the mountains and no one would ever find it.
There is also this from the psychology of deceptive behavior, what researchers call compartmentalized deception, giving different accounts to different audiences, is a hallmark of someone managing a cover story rather than recalling the truth. Truthful people tell the same story because it happened. Someone constructing a narrative tells the version that serves the audience. Mark has told different stories to family, to police, and to the public, and those stories have changed multiple times.
There's also what's called behavioral leakage, the unconscious revealing of guilty knowledge through behavior that doesn't fit the stated narrative. An innocent person who believes their spouse is missing is focused entirely on finding them. They don't talk about life insurance. They don't bring up their alibi unprompted. They don't refer to searching for their wife as, quote, hunting her, end quote.
We need to talk about something crucial. The public attitudes about what may or may not have happened influence whether people are willing to share. Melissa's family strongly believes there is a lot more that could have been done at the beginning of the investigation, and that the hurdle is apathy on the part of the New Mexico State Police and the public. Jazmin told us that within the first week of Melissa's disappearance, the public was calling in tips, offering help, checking in for updates, and asking the family how they were coping. A few weeks later, When she and Trudy were back in Taos to put up more flyers and talk to people, the tone had completely shifted.
Instead of offering support, people were asking why they were putting up flyers. Because of the narrative Mark was spreading that Melissa had taken off with a boyfriend, the public believed she was fine. Trudy said it so eloquently, quote, "We don't know what happened, but that's exactly the reason people need to speak up and take it seriously, because there's a lot of reason to believe that she didn't just take off on her own," end quote.
Melissa's disappearance has caused so much unnecessary conflict between the family. Jazmin expressed that they are in an awful position because it's not fair to Melissa to agree with Mark and accept his explanations to keep the peace. Quote, "We didn't want this to turn into a huge problem between two sides of the family. There's two different camps, and that's not how we are as people. But we can't dismiss those concerns." End quote.
We've seen the narrative online that Melissa was alienated from her parents, siblings, and extended family. But that's all it is, a narrative, because we've also seen pictures, proof of Melissa and Sierra with those same family members as recently as June 21st, 2025, 5 days before she went missing.
Don't believe everything you read on the internet, y'all.
We have spent 3 episodes laying out a case built on police reports, recorded conversations, and the accounts of people who loved Melissa, and we stand behind every word of it. But we also recognize that we are only telling one side of this story.
It is possible that Melissa left. It is possible that the pressure of a difficult marriage, financial stress, a lost security clearance, and the weight of holding everything together finally became too much. People do walk away from their lives. It happens. And if that's what happened, we genuinely hope Melissa is somewhere safe, rebuilding, and at peace.
But if that's true, if Melissa is alive and well and chose to leave, then there are questions that still need answers. Her necessary thyroid medication has been delivered to that house since she disappeared. She has never contacted her doctors to reroute it. There has been no financial activity, no border crossings, no passport applications, no trace of her anywhere.
And if the people around her know where she is, if someone has been in contact with her and is choosing to protect that, we want to speak directly to you for a moment. We understand the impulse to protect someone you love. We do. But Melissa's parents are still waiting. Her family has been organizing searches, printing flyers, and fighting for answers every single day since June 26th.
If she is okay, a simple confirmation to law enforcement, not even a location, just confirmation that she is alive, would end that suffering.
And if you know something and you're staying silent, ask yourself if Melissa would want that for her mother and daughter, for Trudy, for the people who love her most.
As of the release date of this limited series, May 20th, 2026, Melissa Casias is still missing. Mark Casias is still living in their home in Ranchos de Taos, New Mexico. According to multiple sources, he was fired from Los Alamos National Laboratory on or around May 12th, 2026. We don't know why, but we'll update you when we do.
We know this series is going to upset people. There are strong opinions about what happened to Melissa, and we understand that. But everything we've shared is backed by police reports, recorded phone calls, and witnesses who are willing to testify. We didn't speculate. We didn't editorialize beyond what the facts support. And every word was reviewed and approved by the people who loved Melissa most, because that's how these stories should always be told. Not for clicks, not for engagement, for Melissa.
Before we wrap up, there are developments, significant ones, from the past week that have been shared with the family and with law enforcement. We're not ready to share them yet, but we will be. Stay close.
If you have any information about Melissa's disappearance, please contact New Mexico State Police at 505-425-6771 or submit an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers at 505-843-STOP. We'll link the Find Melissa Mondrick and Casias Facebook page and the GoFundMe in the show notes. Please share this episode. Share her face. The more people who know Melissa's story, the better the chance that someone comes forward.
Melissa's family has been waiting since June 26th, 2025. They deserve answers. She deserves to be found.
Until next time, stay safe.
And make good choices. Bye.
Bye.